Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm delighted to have you here today as we continue our ongoing series Reading Between the Lines. In this episode we will delve into criterion B2, implications, a crucial aspect of the exploring music in context component, as it illustrates the divide between research and application. We will unpack a specific example of the creating exercise, focusing on how students can effectively illustrate the implications of their research. In this episode, we will feature a portion extracted from Shostakovich's Symphony No. 5, which serves as a valuable case study for demonstrating how students can articulate the implications of their research while integrating them into their creative exercise. For a comprehensive explanation of the information provided here, along with additional examples, please visit thinkib.net/music. Before we continue, please do subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss any future updates. There are a number of ways of harmonically interpreting the material, but one such approach is the analysis that appears here. Initially, the trumpets collectively sound a D-flat chord, and when the horns add a B natural to the mix, a D-flat 7 chord is formed. Technically, the B natural should be spelt as C-flat. This chord is highlighted here in blue. The upper woodwinds, strings and piano repeat quaver eighth notes in the form of an inverted pedal on C sharp. More about this later. In bar 320, the note G is added in the trombones, which has been interpreted here as a non-chordal note against the D-flat 7 chord. 2 bars before the emphatic shift to D in bar 324, an A is added in the bass, which, combined with the C-sharp inverted pedal and the newly added sustained G, gives the feeling of the formation of an A7 chord. A and G highlighted in red here to indicate a different harmonic entity. The chromatic drop in the horns to B flat has been interpreted as belonging to this chord as well, offering further extension in the form of a flattened ninth. Thus, it would appear by the end of this transition that there are 2 chords formed here: D flat 7 and A7 flat 9, with a common pitch connecting the two, D flat, C sharp. This is the reason that in the analysis the inverted pedal has shifted to purple, as the note is representative of enharmonic equivalence in both chords: D flat F, A flat C flat, and a C sharp, no E here, G, B flat, but of course has a differing function in each context. The effect, therefore, is a colourful version of the standard 5-1 cadence.
Prior to the coda, beginning at bar 324, I decided to have a perfect cadence, 5-1, just as Shostakovich has done. This makes the shift into the final section rather emphatic, as I wanted to highlight the original shift from the parallel minor, D minor, bar 317, to the major, D major, bar 324. However, with my material, I used the extended chord of A. I included the 7th and the flattened 9th in my dominant. I have adopted the repeated notes in the woodwinds, piano, and strings as well, but now, again more emphatically, with A at the cadence point. The composer sustains the chords prior to the coda, and this contrasts with the rhythmic quaver 8th note pulse.
In my creating exercise, I have similarly used a dominant chord for the shift to the final section. I decided to use repeated A pitches in the bass to make the typical dominant tonic cadence rather emphatic and link it to the original intent of the ominous march. I based this on some of the film scores that I have been investigating recently, most notably the John Williams theme from E.T. I similarly placed the chord in the trumpets in the first inversion, at least initially. I also wanted different instrumental colors to enter one after the other, so I followed the same style of unfolding as Shostakovich did: trumpets, horns, and trombones. My creative exercise also extends the cadence with a lengthy dominant chord, 7 bars, and a final example of an extended chord, including the flattened 9th of B flat for the chord of A, just as Shostakovich has done, before resolving to its complementary tonic, D in bar 324.
One other aspect that I noticed, which I thought was rather subtle, is the voicing of the trumpet parts. In this particular example, boxed in red, trumpet 2 has been placed at the top, but the collective combination of the triad is identical to the previous bars. The configuration is again changed in the following 2 bars, where trumpet 1 is now on top, but the chord still maintains the same pure root position for the duration of these 6 bars. This is presumably put in place to prevent a single trumpet player from maintaining that sustained pitch for that length of time. It also presents a slightly different timbral difference to the mix each time the chords are sounded. Another aspect that is worthy of mention is the falling chromatic line, which, together with the common tone of C-sharp D-flat, presented in both of the chords in use, D-flat 7 and A7, assists in providing some consistency to the clashing chords inherent in this transitional material. In my particular creating exercise, I decided to integrate these observations, the chromatic falling line and the revoicing of the trumpet parts, notably the spacing, which I have deemed a creating decision. This approach that emphasizes the chromatic descent, similar to Shostakovich's technique, grounds the material in a more tangible line that provides directional coherence amidst the surrounding dissonance. In my exercise, I extended the chromatic line from D flat to A. The high trumpet part initiates this process, and I subsequently decided to diminish the prominence of the sustained chord in the trumpets by lowering the pitch and compressing the spacing. This adjustment allows the chromatic line in the horns to feature, completing the series of pitches. My selection of chords in the transition to the coda, various configurations of A and B flat minor, have been selected in a similar manner to how Shostakovich connected his chords, each containing a common pitch, C-sharp D flat. However, unlike Shostakovich, my exercise uses the third of the chord in each case. However, functionally, the shift to D is very similar to what Shostakovich does. He uses the D-flat chord as a chromatic shift to D. In my creating exercise, I have used a B-flat minor over D-flat, which provides a similar semitonal shift to the chord of D. The top note falls, whereas the other notes rise. The two chords that I have selected share characteristics at the extension level as well. The chord of A7 flat 9 contains two identical enharmonic pitch ingredients to B flat minor. The tension chord, the colourful dominant, helps make the cadential point harmonically richer, and yet, with common pitch elements, still connected. This grand and glorious shift to the D major at the start of the coda may sound initially triumphant, but other interpretations view the coda as suppressive in nature. The controversy may stem from the misprinted tempo in the first printed edition, but this was subsequently rectified to a speed more than twice as slow. With this much slower tempo and the high and repetitive nature of the material, the final portion of the symphony appears more agonizing. It is certainly demanding on the players, which could perhaps be interpreted as a protest of the oppressive regime than anything uplifting. Whatever the intent, this transition material is important structurally, and Shostakovich certainly demarcates the start of the coda by resolving the tensions created by the simultaneous presentations of two chords, which has a semitonal clash inherent in the first chord and another semitonal clash between them. Thus, the use of chromatic elements in this transitional passage prior to the coda operates on both a vertical as well as horizontal level. This is an observation that I have identified from my analysis of Shostakovich's work, where chromatic elements are contained within the chord as well as more broadly in the form of a descending chromatic line. In my exercise, I wanted to make this chromaticism still apparent on both the micro and macro levels.